Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Daily for Wednesday, July 16th, 2025, the 197th day of the year and World Snake Day. That alone gives a lot of people the chills, right? Snakes. Created to educate people on the importance of snakes and advocate for the conservation of snake habitats around the world. And moving on to something that we can all embrace, the food calendar. Today is National Hot Dog Day, being celebrated in two nations, the U.S. and Canada. It's always on the third Wednesday of July for whatever reason. So if you love a good hot dog, there are plenty of deals at your local convenience stores and fast food places happening today. So enjoy. You have an excuse. Maybe have a hot dog or a Frankfurter while you're waiting for your flight. Severe weather in the Northeast and several other parts of the country, again, causing huge delays and even cancellations at airports around the country. In Washington, Vice President Vance cast the tie-breaking vote to advance a White House bill that would allow Congress to cut billions of dollars in funding for foreign aid and public broadcasting, among other things. The bill needs to be on President Trump's desk by Friday, or, according to law, the previously approved funding will have to be spent, so this is a big deal. And it's worth noting that the last time Congress passed a rescissions package like this, Bill Clinton was president. So this is not something that happens on a regular basis. Over in the U.S. House, 12 Republicans joined Democrats in voting against a procedural move to advance a package of cryptocurrency legislation, something near and dear to the president. Speaker Mike Johnson says those who voted no want 3 crypto bills to all be included in one large package instead of 3 separate measures.
They want to push that and merge them together. We're trying to work with the White House and with our Senate partners on this. I think everybody is insistent that we're going to do all 3, but some of these guys insist that it needs to be all in one package.
Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna of Florida is one that voted against the bill. She says she voted against it because she has concerns about creating a backdoor to a central bank digital currency. Similar comments from Marjorie Taylor Greene as well. President Trump wrote on Truth Social last night that he was in the Oval Office with 11 of the 12 congressmen and women necessary to pass the Genius Act. And after a short discussion, they all agreed to vote tomorrow morning in favor of the rule, which would be this morning. So we are watching to see what happens there. Speaker Johnson also broke from the president and said that he thinks Attorney General Pam Bondi should come forward and explain her inconsistent statements about the Epstein files. Republican Congressman Thomas Massie, no surprise, has joined California Democrat Ro Khanna in a move to force the release of the Epstein files. And we go to last night's edition of Finnerty.
There have been calls for Pam Bondi to resign, and there have been rumors that Dan Bongino, the director of the FBI, might resign if the truth about the people who raped what could be hundreds, maybe thousands, of very young girls, not women, girls, very rich, powerful, famous people, isn't made public, which is what this has always been about, something Donald Trump addressed the other day.
I spoke to him today. Dan Bongino, very good guy. I've known him a long time. I've done his show many, many times, and he sounded terrific, actually. No, I think he's in good shape.
Michael Knowles is going to be with us in just a moment. He spoke at the Turning Point event this weekend down in Tampa, where multiple speakers seemingly called on Pam Bondi to resign, which is what Republicans always seem to do, isn't it? When the going gets tough, Republicans want other Republicans to resign or step down or go away. But why should she? Seriously, Democrats never resign. They never go anywhere. No one in Joe Biden's entire administration ever resigned. It didn't matter what happened. Antony Blinken, Secretary of State, all 4 years, war in Gaza, war in Ukraine. He didn't care. He didn't go anywhere. Lloyd Austin, Defense Secretary for 4 years. Even after the debacle that was the Afghanistan withdrawal, Lloyd didn't go anywhere. Neither did Mark Milley. Alejandro Mayorkas, architect of the most criminal southern border in the history of the country, at least 15 million illegal aliens crossing the border in 4 years. And Ali didn't care. No shame, no remorse, the Democrat way. Same thing with Merrick Garland, attorney general for 4 years, broke norms. Democrats love norms. He became the first U.S. attorney general to charge not only a former president, but also his boss's primary competition for the presidency in 2024. The raid on Mar-a-Lago, 91 felony charges, 4 indictments, a mugshot, and a very public trial the summer before the election. Last summer, no one resigned and no one was fired. Which brings us back to Pam Bondi. She does not need to resign. Not today, not yet, but that could change. Pam Bondi overpromised and underdelivered, yes. She has not gotten 1 second of this whole thing right. But if she holds a press conference, if she answers real questions and does real interviews and uncomfortable places like perhaps this show, Finnerty on Newsmax, if she announces in an honest way that the investigation is not over and that she's going to get to the truth, not for me, not for you, but for the victims, maybe she survives this. Maybe. The other part of this story, which is just sort of disgusting. Again, we're talking about little girls being molested and raped by very wealthy, very powerful, very grown men. But suddenly the left are interested in the Epstein story, not because they care about the victims, but because they care about hurting Donald Trump.
Do you think there's an Epstein list?
I mean, now I'm going to start sounding conspiratorial. After Elon tweeted that out and all of a sudden now it disappears? Really, Trump? Show us. What do you got? Where's the transparency? What carnies? What flim-flammers? What music men? What artists?
That's California Governor Gavin Newsom on some podcast, drinking beer with a guy wearing a trucker hat, maybe trying to appeal to men. Newsom has been doing so many podcasts and interviews that even many of his supporters are complaining, while LA is trying to rebuild from the fires and gas is still like $7-8 a gallon. Back to Rob.
As it stands right now, we are exactly where we were 1 week ago when the Department of Justice leaked that the Epstein case was suddenly closed in the middle of the night to a Democrat website called Axios on the 4th of July. There are still just 2 explanations for what's going on. Either the people that Donald Trump appointed to get to the truth are actively covering up a child sex ring and they know they're doing it, and in the process of doing that, they are protecting very powerful, very wealthy people, or Pam Bondi very simply and very plainly overpromised and then under-delivered, and there is nothing there. I don't think that's the answer. Either way, she needs to fix this, or those calls to resign are going to start coming from other places, like us.
Rob Finnerty is the host of Finnerty, 8 p.m. Eastern on Newsmax. This is President Trump leaving the White House for Pennsylvania yesterday.
She's given us just a very quick briefing. And in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen, she's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release.
Whatever is credible should be released. He knows this has become a key issue with the people who support him the most, have supported him for the past 9 years. He sounded different today. House Speaker Mike Johnson will be critical in whether or not Ghislaine Maxwell can testify in front of Congress on all of this. And he and Congressman James Comer sounding very much the same. The head of the Oversight Committee, Comer, indicating full support for Maxwell to testify. They both say they want transparency from the government on Jeffrey Epstein.
It's a very delicate subject, but we should put everything out there and let the people decide. I agree with the sentiment that we need to put it out there. And you know, Pam Bondi, she needs to come forward and explain that to everybody. I like Pam. I mean, I think she's done a good job. We need the DOJ focusing on the major priorities. So let's get this thing resolved.
Best advice for Pam Bondi is what? Very quickly.
Take the ball and run with it. People want to see accountability. There have been a lot of investigations. The deep state has been exposed thanks to Radcliffe and Kash Patel. Let's start prosecuting these people. Let's set some examples out of some people.
Pressure appears to be working. We're hearing things sounding pretty good. Again, this is what MAGA voters voted for. a government for the people, where the rich and the powerful get the same justice as the rest of us. You may have noticed the Epstein story was almost nowhere to be found, though, on Fox News these last couple of days, after months of very consistent coverage. And over the weekend, Turning Point founder Charlie Kirk and Megyn Kelly spent a lot of time talking about Epstein at the TPUSA event in Florida. It sounded like this.
Make some noise if you care about the Jeffrey Epstein scandal.
Raise your hand if it matters a lot to you. Raise your hand. So every hand of 7,000 people.
I've got to be honest, I blame Pam Bondi. She has never missed an opportunity to go on television and dangle sweet nothings that might be coming your way. Her words on the record on Fox News are diametrically opposed to what she put in this memo. She's embarrassed the president. She's embarrassed herself.
So we saw that moment over the weekend. That was a big moment. And then on Monday, you heard Charlie Kirk say to the administration that he trusted the administration to do what's right and said that he was done talking about this issue of Jeffrey Epstein. Well, today, Charlie went back on and said he only meant he was done talking about it in yesterday's show, indicating that he will continue to push on this issue and to push it forward and push for transparency on all of this. So it's pretty obvious that a lot of people don't really know what to do with this. There's a lot of people that are very scared because it's clear that the White House didn't want this to be a subject, but Trump's base, his supporters and base, care about it. And so there was a bit of a conflict there. And a lot of TV hosts are terrified of what to say and how to say it because they don't want to lose their audience and they don't want to piss off the White House at the same time. So it becomes a bit of a catch-22. Fox host Laura Ingraham, who's on at the same time as me, thanks for watching my show, talked quite a bit about Epstein this weekend at the Turning Point event. And then last night on her show basically went dark on the subject, mentioning it only with disdain for about 2 seconds.
Now, as conservative influencers were eating their own about Epstein, the president was stealing the show on the one-year anniversary of the day he almost lost his life.
That was it. And there was a little bit of it on Bret Baier's show, Special Report. Otherwise, it was completely blacked out of the network. That came from somewhere, obviously. There's a pressure point, and then it was hit.
Rob Schmitt and his hair, host of Rob Schmitt Tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. So are the Fox hosts being told not to talk about Epstein or not to talk about it that much? I'll say what I've been saying every day for more than a week now. Pam Bondi, FBI Director Patel, Deputy Director Bongino, maybe some other people need to have a news conference and explain what exactly happened and what is happening. I want to see that happen, and I think everybody else does too, before we see Pam Bondi going on any show, anywhere, attempting to answer any questions. This is really the first time, if you think about it, that many in Trump's base are disagreeing with him in any way, shape, or form, right? He wants to stay focused on all the great things that he's doing, which I can't blame him for, and just kind of move on from the Epstein thing that he said he can't believe people are still interested in. As I said on Newsline with Bianca De La Garza yesterday, that just isn't going to happen. Bianca also spoke with Energy Secretary Christopher Wright about President Trump's $90 billion energy and AI investment deal for Pennsylvania that was announced yesterday in Pittsburgh.
Secretary of Energy Christopher Wright is here. Great to see you, Secretary Wright. Thanks for joining us today here on Newsline.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me, Bianca.
You know, we talk about energy independence. We know America first. This is part of bringing back jobs. We just laid out some of it. But AI, the future, and really harnessing this. And for the people in Pennsylvania, talk to us about all of the exciting news coming out today there and what it means for folks on the ground, Americans who are looking for jobs and who are looking for innovation.
Yeah, look at the impact of Trump administration. Here we are just a few months in, and I heard you mention $70 billion. I think the number is actually $90 billion of investment announced in Pennsylvania. And what's this investment for? It's to take Western Pennsylvania, that was the historical hub of America's industrial past, and make sure Pennsylvania is a hub of America's industrial future. It's huge for the people of Pennsylvania. It's huge for the country.
And, Secretary Wright, $90 billion. I mean, Nippon Steel basically saving the steel industry when Trump did that deal. So now we have another infusion for Pennsylvania. And I know Democrats are going to be there as well, like Senator John Fetterman, also Josh Shapiro, the governor. I mean, this is a remarkable way to show how the power of industry can really be turned around with the right leadership.
It's the right leadership. It's the right business conditions. For 20 years, America's just pushed energy-intensive businesses outside of our country, went to China and went to Asia for environmental reasons or climate reasons or whatever the excuse was. We pushed industry out of our country. No longer do we want to do that. We want to reindustrialize America. We want to bring those jobs and that investment and that opportunity here to the United States and right here in Pennsylvania. That's why President Trump was elected, to bring back jobs and opportunity. That's why he won Pennsylvania. This is a state that lost its industrial might, and it's going to get it back.
Secretary Wright, we cover this administration day in and day out, and we say, here's another win, here's another win. But these are numbers that really are transformative. In our final moments here, I mean, in the short amount of time, if this is what's being done now, tell us what you think the future looks like for Americans when it comes to energy independence, when it comes to the boon. President Trump says the golden age. It's really incredible to see it unfolding and being a part of it. Your perspective here just 6 months in.
Well, the outlook is tremendously bright. In fact, I could not be more excited. This $90 billion of investment in Pennsylvania will transform this state, and the dialogues we've had with American businesses and overseas will bring trillions of dollars of investment to the United States. We will see construction of new facilities, new energy infrastructure, new manufacturing on a scale that has not happened in my lifetime. Maybe you saw it in the post-war boom in the 50s and early 60s. We're going to see a true industrial renaissance in the United States. I'm thrilled to be a part of it, but it's only happening because of just the wildly different attitude of President Trump.
The wildly different attitude of President Trump. That is a fired up, no pun intended, Energy Secretary Christopher Wright in Pennsylvania yesterday. The president also announced an investigation into California Senator Adam Schiff for mortgage fraud. This is from The Right Squad with Chris Plante and Mercedes Schlapp.
President Trump is calling for a Department of Justice investigation of Democrat Senator Adam Schiff for mortgage fraud. In a Truth Social post today, the president wrote, "I have always suspected shifty Adam Schiff was a scam artist, and now I learn that Fannie Mae's Financial Crimes Division has concluded that Adam Schiff has engaged in a sustained pattern of possible mortgage fraud." Adam Schiff said that this primary residence was in Maryland to get a cheaper mortgage and rip off America, when he must live in California because he was a congressman from California. "I've always known Adam Schiff was a crook." Trump continues. The fraud began with the refinance of his Maryland property on February 6, 2009, and continued through multiple transactions until the Maryland property was correctly designated as a second home on October 13, 2020. Mortgage fraud is very serious, and crooked Adam Schiff, now a senator, needs to be brought to justice.
I think Adam Schiff is one of the lowest of the low. I would love to see him brought to justice. He's a dishonest, crooked guy. I don't know about the individual charge, if that even happens. But Adam Schiff is a serious lowlife.
Wow, that is quite the Truth Social post. Mercedes, you've been on the Hill today. What do you think about this? You see this Truth Social post,
right?
Do you think Adam's freaking out? What's Trump talking about here?
Okay, so I was with the Republican Study Committee who did their media row. Obviously, Senator Schiff did not show up. I don't think he'd be welcome there, to say the least. But look, Schiff has been one of those top Trump derangement syndrome advocates. I mean, obviously going after Donald Trump with the impeachment inquiry was one of those top Democrats to push forward with that. He's the one that pushed the Russian hoax, saying, I have all this evidence, never had the evidence. So it's one lie after the other. And then you've got this mortgage fraud component that obviously has been unraveled by the House Financing Agency as well as Fannie Mae. I mean, I think it's very problematic for Schiff. I mean, obviously, we've seen that congressmen and senators, they do have multiple houses, but in this case, there seems to be possibly some fraudulent actions taken by Schiff. And yes, he should be investigated for it. The good news is that the average sentencing for an offender of mortgage fraud is only 14 months. So I don't think anyone from California or the United States will miss him. I agree.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was a missed opportunity for the president to talk about how this happened. The refinancing happened. First of all, refinancing 4 different times, but it happened before 2019. So this was in Trump's first administration. Ooh. So Adam Schiff was taking advantage of the stellar economy that we had under Trump's first term. So if I were the president, I would definitely highlight that.
Yeah, low inflation, low interest rates. And so he took advantage 4 times. And we're talking 2009 to 2020, and claiming tax exemptions in the state of California, where you know they're not going to hold him accountable no matter what. Yeah. But claiming his primary residences in Maryland, when, as President Trump pointed out, it's actually the law, if you're a member of Congress from California, that your primary residence has to be in California. Can't be a senator from California and live in France, as much as a lot of Democrats would. But this guy, and you mentioned the Russia thing. This is the guy on my radio show. Everybody's voted him the most dishonest man in Washington, which is like being the fastest car at the Indianapolis 500, being most dishonest person in Washington. But he went on 40 times a week, at least, on CNN to say, listen, I'm in the classified briefings. I know what's going on here, and it will be revealed, and I will reveal that Trump is colluding with Russia, and he's in bed, and it's all the Russia collusion thing. And he told the lie so many times that he might have ended up believing it himself.
Chris Plante and the Right Squad from the swamp, weeknights on Newsmax. And we'll wrap it up with Newsmax foreign correspondent Shelby Wilder sitting down with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, who is heard through an English translator.
Mr. President, as always, thank you for speaking with Newsmax. We appreciate your time. We spoke last month, but since that time, much has changed, with major developments unfolding this week. Donald Trump announced that the U.S. will send weapons to Ukraine funded by NATO allies. How much of a difference will this make on the ground? And what's the strategy with receiving these weapons?
First of all, thank you for being here. It is very important for us now that people of the United States, our friends and partners, get real information from your channel and from journalists they trust. It is crucial for us to cover the reality, what is happening here and on the battlefield, and detail what kind of relations we have with the United States. A lot has changed this month. We had 3 dialogues with President Trump. Each one was better than the last. We had a great meeting at the NATO summit, and we had 2 phone conversations. There were several very positive decisions on the defense of Ukraine, the defense of Europe, and on security in general. President Trump realizes that Putin is lying to him, and it is important that President Trump sees this for himself. Not what he hears from someone else, but what he sees with his own eyes. We have supported all the U.S. initiatives on the ceasefire. I supported all of President Trump's initiatives, and he saw the reality. Putin just says one thing and then bombs. He does not want the war to end. There is a decision to continue helping Ukraine. There is an understanding that it is important for the United States of America that Ukraine does not lose this war. And Putin is losing a large number of his military, sending them to their deaths. All these understandings are important. This month, we have achieved a breakthrough in terms of defense systems. For Ukraine, the priority is the Patriot system. I am grateful for the positive signal from the White House, personally from the President, to support this. And regarding the sanctions package, you can see for yourself that everyone is moving forward.
How does President Trump's approach now differ from the Biden administration's?
As I said, there is a lot of pressure on Russia. These are strong sanctions. And it is essential not to allow them to be circumvented. What should be done? full comprehensive sanctions, and on the other hand, a powerful weapon, a deterrent weapon, a weapon that will show the enemy strength. These are the two things Ukraine has always asked for from the United States. We have never received them in full. There were sanctions, but not all of them, and many of them could be circumvented. Russia found ways around them, and some countries helped. For example, there were sanctions on energy, but China, India, and Brazil continued to receive Russian energy resources. President Trump is giving Putin a chance to end this war. I really want to believe that he has given him this window of opportunity. And I really want to believe that if Putin doesn't draw conclusions, President Trump will truly apply powerful sanctions that cannot be circumvented. First of all, in the energy and banking sectors. And also that Trump will provide us with a strong deterrent package and powerful air defense systems that will be able to protect Ukraine. And, ultimately, European countries. This is the difference. Most importantly, I do not want to criticize anyone. I am grateful to America for all the help during this war. America has supported us, and I have always said, we are grateful to the White House, grateful for the bipartisan support. It was there, and I am very grateful that it continues. But President Biden was not able to end this war. I am confident that President Trump can do it.
Ukrainian President Zelensky with Newsmax correspondent Shelby Wilder, confident that President Trump can put an end to the war. Yesterday, I told you the Supreme Court green-lighted the Trump administration's plans to seriously shrink the Department of Education, which is going to lead to like 1,400 layoffs. The court also ruled in favor of allowing for the deportation of a group of illegal immigrants to South Sudan, marking yet another victory for President Trump's immigration policies. The decision supersedes an earlier court order that permitted migrants to challenge their deportation. Today, the president has a busy day hosting the Crown Prince, or I should say another busy day. He's hosting the Crown Prince and the Prime Minister of Bahrain at the White House. They'll have a bilateral news conference that will, of course, be carried live on Newsmax. The president also has a bill signing ceremony this afternoon and then a dinner tonight with the Prime Minister of Qatar. On Wall Street, stocks are popping after the Dow and the S&P closed lower yesterday. The Nasdaq closed at a new record high yesterday and is moving higher today. Bitcoin back up to nearly 119,000 this morning. Ethereum up to 3,100 and change. All right, be sure to keep up with all of the news and breaking developments throughout the day. It is going to be a busy Wednesday news day. Keep it on Newsmax N2, and don't forget about Newsmax.com. Also, make sure you have Newsmax Plus, so you're getting all of your favorite shows, hosts, and expert guest analysis. It all starts each and every morning with Wake Up America, followed by National Report, Newsline at noon with Bianca De La Garza, American Agenda, The Chris Salcedo Show, Carl Higbee, Greta Van Susteren, Rob Schmitt, Finnerty, Greg Kelly, and much, much more. I'm Tony Marino. Enjoy the rest of your day. Maybe eat a hot dog. If you're into snakes or you have pet snakes, there you go. It's your day. And keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.